Hi, and welcome back to my review of Giants bobbleheads. So today, let's take a look at the difference between the Alexander Global promotions that are generally given away and the Forever Collectible bobbleheads that are generally found in retail stores, and especially this one that I got today at Walgreens. Primary difference between the kind that are made by Forever Collectibles is the fact that their bodies are all the same. They make so many at a mass scale that they're very generic. You could pop the head off this guy and pop it onto that guy, and you would absolutely not know the difference. Their bodies are exactly the same on every single one of their bobbleheads. So even though we all know that Lincecum is 5'10", and I think Brian Wilson is 6'4", they got that exact same body. And even though one outweighs the other by about 60 pounds, again, they get the exact same body, which I don't quite agree with. It should be body specific. The other thing that you'll notice in terms of comparing the bobbleheads is the fact that Alexander Global Promotions always has texturing over the entire body of their bobblehead, which is more natural to the shape of the texturing of clothing. Forever Collectibles, everything is nice and smooth. It's like somebody, they're all wearing Lycra. Everything is skin tight. There are never any wrinkles on the clothing, except they're right there at the crotch, which is kind of funny. I mean, if you've ever taken a picture of somebody wearing a pair of Dockers and they stand up, that's more likely to see what they see, which is the crease line around the hips, inward to the inseam, and draping back and forth until they hit to the bottom, where they wear their pants. Especially most of the modern ball players wear their pants all the way down to the ankles, especially guys like Freddie Sanchez. Whereas Forever Collectibles, it looks like they're wearing some sort of spandex. There are no wrinkles. Everything is nice and flat, which is easy to build. You smooth it down. Other thing that kind of annoys me about these kind of bobbleheads, which is why I generally do not collect them, is the fact that they don't really know what they're doing. Anyone who's taken an anatomy class knows that the average proportion for a male is about 60% of their hip height and 40% to the rest of their body. This is way higher than normal. You see how his hip to shoulder ratio is a lot more anatomically accurate to male physiology. The other difference here you'll notice here is that men, even if you do buckle your belt really tightly, do not have an inseam that curves inward like this. Alright, this is usually only seen on a woman. On a man, the hip ratio is square and boxed, and most men, unless you're a ballet dancer, don't have a butt like that. Alright, they have a butt like that. Especially a guy like Brian Wilson runs the stairs every day. They have very large thighs, very large calves, and a very flat butt. Right? The way that this is raised doesn't look right. The other big difference is the fact that the numbering here on all Alexander Global Promotion bobbleheads are raised, built out of epoxy, and custom painted. This is a decal. It's a sticker. Even the little Major League logo there, that's a sticker. So they kind of cheat a little bit. So those are a couple of things that you notice right off the bat in terms of how these are built. Of course, in terms of the face, big note difference in terms of the artistry here is my suspicion is that most of the Alexander Global Promotions look better because they employ some sort of digital rendering technology. I've seen this in some certain websites where you can get a custom bobblehead of yourself made, and they take a side profile, a front profile, and out of that they do a CAD model, and then they build it using rapid prototyping technology out of some ceramic material. These still look like a human being actually went out there and artistically rendered each of them, except depending on the artist, you might get a very different result. The common trend, at least as what I can tell, as one of the few people who review bobbleheads, maybe the only person who reviews bobbleheads actually taken an art class, is the fact that anatomically the big difference in how you render a face is right at the cheekbone structures, right in front of the face, and the eyeball socket, the what do you call the brow, right over the eye, and the way that the eyes are rendered. All right, those are the key to how you make a face look like a face. They don't seem to do as good of a job in terms of how they do that. Looking at the faces here, they seem to cheat. Forever Collectibles don't build up the cheekbone quite as much because it's, I guess, more expensive to add more material. They do a lot more of this rendering where they give everyone very deep, saggy eyes. They all look tired. There's something very wrong about, guys in the early 20s and 30s looking really tired all the time. So those are big commentaries in terms of the differences between them. Here's Brian Wilson. Let's do a couple more of these guys, and you see my difference here. Here's Matt Cain, came a couple years ago, and this is the new Matt Cain that came out just Thursday. There's something wrong here where I've never seen Matt Cain with that expression. He looks scared and tired and timid, which we all know. This guy, 23 scoreless innings in the World Series, he's a bulldog. He never looks scared and tired, like, oh, I'm afraid of my fastball. No, he's going to smoke you with it. So facial expressions, it's a very subtle thing. This looks a lot more normal. The other thing you'll notice, especially on the global promotion bobbleheads versus Forever Collectibles, is they paint everything here with the same color. The entire face is used, painted with some sort of skin tone, reflective. You always get a reflection off the face, which is a little unnatural. If you've ever taken pictures of your family, you'll notice that humans generally do not give off a sheen on their face. The other difference is a lot of times when they paint these are done with a brush, it seems, because you see little streak marks sometimes. And I think some of these guys are painted with a airbrush. And you'll see that on some of these that you won't. I think a better example of this is on the Madison Bumgarner bobblehead. This is the Madison Bumgarner conversion I did in my previous blog. You'll notice that they spray paint slightly differently. In the face area is one color, and then they come back and they paint the sides of his face a slightly darker color to accentuate his highlights of his face. And again, very nice contour of the eyes, cheekbones, the brow socket, and very even shaping of the eyelids, especially indentation between the eyes and the ears. It's perfect symmetry. And then you compare it to this one that was made. Not quite as well made. I think they try to flatten out the details. You'll notice that the color is slightly different. It's really different. I mean, this is a lighter. This is matte. That's gloss. There's no eyeball socket here. Cheekbone. No cheekbone. Overextended brow. The nose isn't quite right. They did get the sideburn there right. But artistically, if you're going to put this in a museum, this one belongs in the museum. This one belongs as a child's plaything. It's just not the same. Considering that a lot of us are spending a lot of money on bobbleheads, there's a reason why the ones made by Alexander Global Promotions will always be worth a lot more than the ones that you buy at a Giants dugout store, or in this case, Walgreens. This one was bought for about $19.99. It'll probably be in a year, maybe worth, what, $30? Whereas Bumgarner, over time, this is the one that you're going to get. You got it free at the ballpark. It's probably only worth maybe $30. He's going to have another year, probably $40, and within a little while after that, maybe $50. They go up in value. They're just more rare. They're better looking, and for all the right reasons. So let's take a look at a couple more. So this is Linscomb. You'll compare him to the other Linscomb that came out earlier this year. Huge differences. Obviously, this one has real hair, but I mean, this is what Linscomb looks like in a lot of his photos. This is what Linscomb looks like. He's kind of this goofy-looking guy, but they rendered him with that funny smile. He's got his face, right? He looks at you. He's got cheekbones, the nose. I mean, it looks very anatomically like him. You look at him and you go, yeah, that's Linscomb. You look at this one and goes, what is wrong with him? There's something wrong with this bobblehead. It's like maybe the spring is short. It's like he needs to be a little bit taller. I think the spring is collapsed. I think that's what's wrong with this bobblehead here. He looks a little weird. Again, same thing. Linscomb is 5'10" when he's standing on a phone book. He should not be the same height as Brian Wilson, who we all know actually towers him like that by that much. I think by 8 inches. So there's something really wrong about having the same body on two very different looking players. So that's Linscomb. Big pet peeve in this set is, let's take a look at Aubrey Huff. I don't know why But that does not look like Aubrey Huff. I don't know what they did, but there's something wrong with the rendering on Aubrey Huff. If you take a look at his face, I don't know if you can close in on his face detail there. There's something just not quite right. For some reason, he looks more like Benito Santiago than Aubrey Huff. I think it's because they made the eyes too close, and when they went to contour his face, didn't do it quite right. They also have absolutely no cheekbones. That's probably the problem with this bobblehead. There's no cheekbones, and cheekbones are what define the face. His nose is a little bit longer than I think. It makes him look strange. He looks to be squinting. He doesn't seem to be happy, and it just doesn't quite look right. So there seems to be a difference in terms of artistry and who does it, because you look at this one, Cody Ross. This looks like Cody Ross. He's happy. He's smiling. He's got a big face. You see that the way that the jaw lines of his jaw and his cheekbones float out, and the eyes are rendered, and they're a little bit more proportional. I mean, as a bobblehead, I think partly because they made his head slightly larger and wider, he looks a little bit he looks more body proportional to the rest of the figure. Whereas, I don't know, there's something very wrong with the Aubrey Huff bobblehead, and I guess later this year, when they finally give us a Aubrey Huff bobblehead at the ballpark, you know, we'll know for sure. We'll have something to compare it to. But definitely very happy that Giants have signed him. Of course, the best looking set is probably the one that, for whatever reason, you can't seem to find as many of them. It's the Buster Posey bobblehead. Slightly different color. I don't know what this is going on here. If you compare the two colors, his face is orange. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if you can tell in this video, but he's orange. That is a very different color. And we know that he is not orange in real life. It's like they somehow mixed up the paint when they painted Buster Posey versus painting this very timid looking Matt Cain. So there's some variations. I don't know if it's quality control, it's variations in artistry, but there's definitely a difference between these different bobbleheads, and if you ask anyone, they would definitely prefer to get the Alexander Global Promotion version of any of these bobbleheads versus the Forever Collectible version that's out there. So even though I just made a blog talking about the brand new Walgreens versions of these bobbleheads, I don't know. Collect them if you want. It is $20 each, and if you collect all 9, it's $180. So think about it. If you really have that kind of money, go out and get them. Otherwise, it's okay. You don't have to get them. You could stick with the regular ones that are at the ballpark. I know it's already a lot of money. And anyway, that's just my comparison. There is a huge difference in quality and craftsmanship in the Alexander Global Promotion versions of these guys versus the, I guess, I don't know, generic version of these Forever Collectibles that, I keep doing that, these Forever Collectible version of these bobbleheads that are out there. In any case, that's my review of the bobbleheads. Everyone else is asleep, so I will get back to wrapping presents. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy New Year. Again, pitchers and catchers report soon enough. In the meantime, go buy that DVD, watch the Giants win the World Series again and again and again. Hopefully, they'll do it again in 2011. In any case, thanks for watching. Go Giants. Bye.